Hey, Renee, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you ladies doing?
Oh, we doing great, doing great. Just getting ready for the weekend, Mother's Day weekend coming up.
Yeah.
Well, my name's Amy Brown. I'm a realtor with Next Generation Real Estate Group. And you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Micheala Dixon, also a realtor with Next Generation.
And then we have the lovely Renee Lambert with Gill Mortgage on here.
Yes, ma'am.
So, so we're going to talk about something fun today. Our fellow realtor, sister realtor Trina came up with this cute little catch line. We can get you moved once you get approved.
hmm I like it.
Yeah, because really the first step in buying a house is going to be the pre-approval. It's not going out and looking at houses in person, because I tell people all the time, the worst thing I can do is take you out, and especially in this market, and show you a house and have you fall in love with it, but you can't get a pre-approval in time, or you don't know your budget or whatever, and then you get heartbroken, right?
hmm Yeah, I agree.
So the first step definitely is getting the pre-approval. So tell us, Renee, about when someone reaches out to you. I send you somebody that they want to buy a house. And the first step is going to be, you're going to talk to them, or they're going to do an online application. Tell them
Right.
a little bit about that, and maybe what documents they need to be getting up to get prepared for that.
Okay. Yes, you're right. The first step is to take the application, get all the information we can. Not that we try to be nosy, but it's crucial to know every single piece of the puzzle in order for us to help you by now, whether it be now or later. So we go ahead and either take an application by phone, in person, or on my website, whichever is more convenient to the customer. At that point, I try to go ahead and get their documents, which is their W-2s for the most recent 2 years, their two most recent pay stubs, two most recent bank statements. Okay.
Mhm.
My goal up front is to run the pre approval based on what they tell me they're comfortable with. I find out what kind of payment they're thinking, and I try to back into it that way to try to meet their needs and see if we can get them in the price range house they're looking for. Um, and once I do that, I look over the all the documents to make sure everything matches up, because I found that when I issue a pre-approval letter, I like to put on the bottom in the comments that everything has already been verified. I think that helps people when they make offers to
Yes.
for them to know that, hey, this person has done what they need to do. Their income has been verified, their assets have been verified, and they are ready to go. And I really think that helps people when they make an offer. It's looked twice at, because it's not just a, hey, here, you're pre-approved. Everything's verified.
Right. And not to disparage some of the online lenders, but it is very easy to get a pre-qualification letter
Oh yeah.
online just from what you fill out. I have seen those even recently, and like some of them, they're not worth the paper that they're printed on.
Right.
I've heard the
Right.
same thing. Is it a difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval?
Yeah.
Because I've heard,
Yeah. That's a
Very
good
good
question.
question. Honestly, on our end, it's more of a terminology thing. I
Hmm.
mean, it's one and the same, because if there's any changes in the income or the assets or anything during the process before closing, it really doesn't matter what kind of letter, what you call the letter. It's kind of the same thing. But in my opinion, if I've verified everything up front and I know this person has their money, I know they've got, their income, I verified it all. In my opinion, I consider that a pre-approval. And I try to do that on every buyer I can. Now it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
But I try. I prefer not to issue the letter until I have all that. Are there cases where we do? Yes. If maybe that person hasn't gotten everything to me, but they're ready to make an offer, I go over the application in depth with them. I make sure the income is the most one of the most crucial parts. I calculate their pay myself based on what they tell me they make hourly, and just to make sure those numbers are exact. And then the second most important part are funds to close. Where is your money coming from? Do you have this money saved up? Do you have 401k? Is it going to be a gift from a relative? Those two things are the main two things that I look at immediately because
no mattress money. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be able to trace where it comes from.
Cash. It's very hard to get people to understand why you're not allowed to use cash. So my explanation is the government says if you have cash, you did not pay taxes on that money. Therefore, the government's not going to let you use it to buy a home. And that's
but if someone does have some cash,
that's the easiest way to explain it to people. And there are things we can tell them to do. We can usually figure out a way to make that work, but we prefer not to have to get down to that. Get that money in the bank and give it 2 months and let it sit there. And then at that point you'll be ready to go. But that's why it's so important when I take my application that I get every single detail. I tell people I'm not trying to be nosy, but I can't help you if you don't share everything with me. If you do, more than likely we can fix it. But if you don't tell me till after the fact, it gets a little sticky there. But for the most part, getting the full story up front, verifying everything, and issuing that pre-approval or pre-qualification letter. People like to hear the terminology pre-approval letter, even though it's the same. So that's just what I call it.
It sounds fancier, kind of, doesn't it?
It does. Well, it sounds more definite. Like they've not just done an application and somebody ran it and got an approval. I've looked at your income. I've looked at your assets. You are ready to buy a home, kind of thing.
Right. And especially the assets part, because what we are seeing from offers we're putting in and winning or unfortunately losing is that sellers are not paying anything hardly towards closing costs. So that's certainly not to discourage anybody, but you've got to have savings.
You do.
You have 100% financing programs, 100% FHA or USDA or VA, but you're still going to have money for closing costs.
Exactly. And the market, as you know, is flipped since COVID. And prior to that, in the Tri-County area, the sellers paid almost all the closing costs. And that's what people are used to. So most people are not prepared now for a market that's completely flipped in a year and a half and have to pay all those closing costs. So that's why I try to tell people, start now. If you want to buy in 6 months, start right now. Call me, do an application. Let me email you a plan of action, step by step, exactly what needs to be done, roughly what you need to save, the different ways you can come up with the funds that FHA allows. I literally give them a plan of action top to bottom based on their credit report. Then I talk about the funds, and I say, go to this, do this step by step. And if you do that, you will be ready when your time comes in 6 months.
And that's the great thing about working with a local lender such as yourself, that you will create that plan of action. You'll help them to make it happen. They've got to do the work. And if they really want it, you can tell them how to do it. I've had people before that, they got right on board. They only need a couple of months to get ready. They got right on board, did everything that their loan officer told them to do, and they were able to buy, And they got to realize that, you're here to help them. Like you said, you got to be an open book and, just disclose everything because nobody's judging you,
Oh, correct. Right. Hey, it's life. It happens. People have issues,
right.
But they can be fixed.
Right. I thought the leads usually come to us first. It's rare for someone to go and get a pre-approval to start with. They usually come to the real estate agent first. So we're asking them questions up front, trying to vet out and get a feel for where they are, before we send them on to you, so that we can kind of give you a little bit of info up front.
Right.
What about other things such as counting like child support payments, for instance?
Okay. Yes, child support, FHA requires that you've received it 3 months consecutively, and we do have to document that in order to count it. Most of the time, it's easily documentable. But yes, as long as you've received it 3 months consistently for the amount that's on the child support order or divorce decree, we can use that.
And then in some cases, you need a copy of like the divorce decree.
Right, either a child support order or the divorce decree. And then say, for instance, it's paid through DHR. They can contact DHR or go on the website and print out the payment history. We can see exactly when it was deposited, for them and everything, and the amounts. And that, of course, shows the consistency, which allows us to use that.
All right. So let's say, you've been out, you've got somebody under contract. Yay. You got somebody under contract. And so then we got this kind of lull where we're waiting on an appraisal and then the home inspection done. So what's going on behind the scenes once we send you over a contract? It's a fully executed contract.
Excellent.
You start running with it.
There is a lull. That's exactly right. And we do try to kind of tell people about that up front, that, no news is good news. So basically in the background while all this is happening, verifications of employment are being done, verification of income and assets. The processors are putting together a nice clean package where everything is documented, everything is shown to meet the guidelines that are necessary. If we've missed anything, the processor lets us know, get this. We have to get it. We're getting that file together completely to submit to underwriting. So if you don't hear from us, that means we don't need anything else from you. So that's always good. We then get it submitted to underwriting, and our goal at Guild, we try to get that done within 48 hours of the file going to processing to the underwriter. So we're on a very tight timeline to make things happen smoother and quicker. So once underwriting gets it, they go through everything that's been submitted top to bottom, including the appraisal, the title work, everything. If there's any errors in the appraisal, if there's any issues with anything whatsoever, that underwriter comes back with what they call conditions. Okay. It can be anything. It could be, there might have been a large deposit on their bank account. Where did this come from? So if it was income tax returns, we have to contact the client and get the tax returns to match the deposit. Any large deposits have to be documented. It doesn't matter when it was, where it came from. If it was a cash app, it doesn't matter. It has to be documented, and it has to meet the guidelines that FHA sets forth to verify funds.
But one of the key things once under contract is to respond to the lender request very promptly. And sometimes y'all may come back and ask for something that you've asked for before. You may need an updated pay stub, or maybe need an updated bank statement, or like you said, an explanation of a deposit. So just answer those, just get that back to them, and keeps it moving on smooth, because our goal is to close on time.
Oh yes,
not sure. Delay it any.
Right. And for the most part, people do, and if not, we just stress to them that, if you want to close on your close date, we have to have this, like right now.
Let's get a move on.
And if not, I'll be called, Amy, could you please talk to them? We're not getting, we haven't gotten this, and you'll get on them. Sometimes we do reach out to agents if we're having trouble, because it helps, when they hear it from you, then they're like, oh gosh, I really do have to do this like now. So, we reach out to the agents, and agents are always responsive and help us get the ball rolling and get them going.
All right. So last little thing, everybody is talking about interest rates and how interest rates have gone up. So we know that what we saw a year and a half ago was very unprecedented. They were extremely low. That was the rarity. And we're getting back to more normal rates, I guess.
Normal.
Pre-pandemic type rates. So it's still a good time to buy a house. So you're not anticipating the rates going down anytime soon, right?
Not based on anything we've all seen, if anything, honestly, from what we hear, it's going to go up more. But again, they're getting back to normal. It's not that they're going up. They're really getting back to what the norm is, and there's no point in waiting. They may never go down again. We don't
Right.
know, it's a cycle. They may go down again. They may not. Buy your house now. And if rates do go down, you can always refinance. Just like
Absolutely.
everybody did from 2001. And then they went up in, I think it was 2002, 2003-ish, went up to close to 7, I believe.
Mhm.
And we still did loans through that. And then those people come back when they dropped again, and we refinance them again, or they sold and bought another house. It's just a cycle. There's never a bad time to buy a house. That's your financial wealth that you're building, that you're starting. There's
Yes.
always things you can do in the future to get your payment lower if rates drop.
Yeah, one of the cornerstones of building wealth is owning real estate, owning your own home.
Right.
Yes.
And you get a little bit of a tax break.
Yeah.
You get to claim your interest on your home, and I think that's about all you can claim anymore for the most part, unless you're self-employed.
Right. Yeah. So, don't, if you wasn't able to buy a year or two ago, definitely don't beat yourself up over it, and don't wait thinking that it's going to go back down to 2.5% or whatever, because you may be waiting a long time. So it's still a good time to buy. So, like Renee said, go ahead. You can contact her. Go ahead and make a plan. Even if you're a year out, or if you know that you need some guidance on getting your credit scores up. If you've been watching Credit Karma or something, and your scores are a little bit low. Because I was talking to a lady a couple of days ago, medical bills. I mean, life happens, stuff happens,
Right.
We're not judging you on that, but we can tell, or Renee can tell you what to do to get the credit scores up, and what you need to save up, and do this, this, and this, and you'll have a plan where, 6 months or whatever, you'll be ready to start looking to buy a house.
Right. And typically what I do, if somebody calls me now and their scores are too low right now, we can pull a report called a Wayfinder. And it goes to each bureau, and it will tell us the potential improvement for the scores. So I go in and run this Wayfinder on each bureau, and it tells me exactly what to tell that buyer to do and how many points it should increase their score to. So I print that report, which is very user-friendly, very easy to read, specifically to the client. It tells them step by step exactly what to pay, exactly what the balance needs to be after you pay. And if you do that, typically we have no problem. If the buyer follows that and gets their score, 9 times out of 10, it will come up. And if they can do it immediately, I can do a rescore and get the updated score within probably 7 to 10 business days, instead of waiting 30, 60, or 90 days on the bureaus to report and then get those scores up.
Right. I remember talking to a lady one time that she paid off her credit card, but of course, their credit card companies are only reporting like once a month and certain days, which I think you could probably actually find out from the individual credit card company when they report. But like you said, you could do a rapid rescore if needed.
Right. Because even if they report it today, it may be 20, 30 days before the bureaus run their rescores. That's what takes so long, getting it reported. Then they have to run their reports and their rescores, which could be another 30 days, But now if somebody's not in a hurry and they have a plan or a goal to wait 6 months so that they're prepared, or a year, at least they've got that time. They know exactly what to do. And at that time, if they've done that, their scores will be there.
Is there a charge to do a rescore?
No, ma'am. We do not charge. Guild does not charge the buyer.
Okay, because I thought I had seen another company that did.
There are some that do, but Guild does not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to click this little ticker here to put our information down here at the bottom. So it's got my phone number and Trina's phone number, which Trina's not here. And Chanel wasn't able to make it either. And it's got Micheala's number on here too, and it's got your number on here.
All right.
So anybody that's watching, hey, we would love to help you out, buy or sell, invest. Yeah, absolutely. And we can put you in touch with Renee. And I have one more question. What about if you already own a house and you want to sell and buy another? Shouldn't you go ahead and talk to a lender to see about what you qualify for?
Most definitely, because you don't want to sell your house and not have anywhere to go. I mean, that's just being realistic. But yes, most definitely, because you still need to know how much you're going to qualify for. You still got to know what to go look for, or what to have you to look for them. So yes, if that's your plan, still go ahead, get pre-approved. Let me go ahead and verify everything. Let me verify your funds are coming from the sale of your property. So when I give you that pre-approval letter, it's going to say at the bottom, everything's already been verified. And
Right.
again,
And also
that helps people to get their offers accepted.
And also, it may be contingent upon the sale of their house.
Correct. It could be. And in that case, we do have to put that on the pre-approval letter. But right now, the way houses are selling, that's not really been an issue. But you can do those hand in hand. You don't have to close on your house and then start all over. I mean, you can close them back to back. I mean, we can do really whatever you need to do. But again, getting pre-approved before you even list your house would probably be a pretty wise idea, and be prepared as to what you can do once your house is sold.
Well, you got anything else, Renee, before we wrap it up? Anything else?
I really don't. Just everybody needs a plan of action. It doesn't matter when you're looking to buy. It might be 2 years, but you've got to start somewhere. Life happens. People have credit issues. Everybody does. It's called life. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And the good thing about it can be fixed if you are willing to put in the work to fix it. So I love working with people doing that. I help people all the time. I've helped people for a year. I've helped people for 2 years, And if somebody is serious, they will do it and they will get it done and they will be ready to buy within their time frame. So that's
and it's great to work with someone like you. Yeah. And that's why I like working with you, because you're so helpful to my clients and you're responsive, you're local, it's and that's why I always encourage people to try to go with a local lender, because you're here, you're out in the community, more so than just an online application.
Right. That's right. That's right. And you can walk in my door anytime you have a problem or question. You can meet me. We can meet face to face. It's not just behind a computer screen or a phone.
And not to get down the rabbit hole of the whole other thing of trying to get offers accepted, but being pre-approved with a local company can make a difference.
Oh, most definitely.
The seller has several offers to choose from, and they've got Guild, and then they've got maybe some other locals, or then they've got some online company that they've never heard of. The listing agent may say, well, I know Renee, I know such and such. I don't know this person. I've never heard of this company, out of, I don't know, Oregon. I don't know. I'm making up something.
Right. That happens a lot. And agents will tell you, they advise the sellers basically to put those aside. I mean, they just do. It's a risk factor, because a lot of those, a lot of the pre-approval letters, like you said, are just a piece of paper. Anybody can get a pre-approval letter if they want to, but that doesn't mean you're going to get to the closing table and close on a house, and that's what we do. That's all we do. And that's our goal, is to close the loan, not just to give you a pre-approval letter. We want to give you a pre-approval letter, take you through a smooth process as possible to buy your home and get to the closing table with you.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. So thank you again, Renee, for joining us, and hope to talk to you again soon on another Friday. I think we ought to talk about credit scores, and let's talk about Credit Karma and some of them.
Very good topic. Very good topic. I'll be prepared.
Score, yeah.
I will definitely be prepared.
That kind of stuff,
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Talk about that later.
Okay.
Shopping around for mortgage companies is what I said. Is that or just listening to your agent if they're referring you to one, just going with them, or is it a good deal to shop around for different mortgage companies and rates and so forth?
Well, we can definitely talk about all that on our next video.
Yes,
all right. Well,
thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us, and y'all have a great weekend. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us, or you can comment below, and we will definitely be glad to help you out. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.